Hey guys, greetings and salutations. This is James here at Unique Perspectives. Thought I'd make another video about something that I think really needs a lot more attention, especially in the black community. I want to encourage you to like and subscribe before we get into the topic, but I really just want to talk about the idea of really just black Americans specifically blaming other people, other cultures, other situations, the government for their own situations, So I want to just get into that because I think it's something that needs to be discussed more openly. I am a black conservative. I am a Christian. I want to just make that very clear. You can probably see that with the police flag here. So just want to knock that out and let you guys know where I stand. This is your opportunity to click off the video right now. Looks like you're still there. All right, here we go. You're a lot crazier than I thought then. Here we go. I want to start off by just telling a short story, and it's going to help me really get into the topic. So I live in Los Angeles, and I was driving about 40 miles from my house to a location with the sports job that I have. I teach, sports to children and, their families and things like that. And so I was going into Orange County, about 40 miles from my house. I drive, like I said, 40 miles, very early in the morning. It was maybe 7 or so, but traffic was really bad. So I was actually late one day to my class. And I remember I was about 15 minutes and it was very early in the season. I think it was like the second or third class. And I was really, I was like 15 minutes late. I realized maybe, halfway through the ride that I should have left a lot earlier. And so I was embarrassed, but I just kind of kept going. And when I made it to the class, the parents were already waiting. And I could tell everyone was confused with, where was I? Why wasn't I here? But one lady in particular, and she was a white Caucasian lady, she was very disgruntled with the fact that I was not present for those 15 minutes. And so the entire class, and the class was about 45 minutes, the entire time she actually made sure that she expressed the fact that she was annoyed or bothered that I was, 15 minutes late. And she kept finding reasons to be rude throughout the class, She was, her face was kind of, disgruntled, and so she really didn't want to sing our song to start the class. She was really just kind of not being as compliant as the other parents, and I could tell the other parents were uncomfortable with her behavior. But I just kind of, chalked it as, I kind of brought it on myself, so I was like, okay, But I remember during that whole situation, I was almost, I was thinking to myself, I know a lot of my family members, a lot of the people in my community that I grew up with, Baldwin Hills area, with a lot of the, Crips and the Bloods, hung out and, close to my, my community. I know many of them would have found a way to make themselves the victim in this sort of situation. They would have complained about the fact that they had to drive 40 miles from Los Angeles all the way to Orange County. They would have complained with the fact that the class was very early. Maybe it's unrealistic to make it at that time. They would have talked about their struggles as a black American, and that, these families are privileged to even be able to pay for these classes because my family can't. And there's all these other things that I was thinking to myself, what a black American, or at least some of us who have adopted this victim mentality, would actually say. And I remember it was just very interesting because the next class, the lady actually didn't show up. I guess she had her husband show up with her child, and so we had a normal class, and I came early, And I really just wanted to go into some of these points that I have about this topic before I kind of tell you what ultimately happened with this lady and myself in regards to, her being a client. I actually want to share that, but I want to go through these points just to address something that I think is very important. First off, I think that one of the areas that a lot of us as Black Americans mess up on is we are very quick to blame other people for our actions. When it comes to why we have so many kids, maybe, with a woman that we don't care for or a man that we don't care for. Instead of really looking at ourselves, there are a lot of people that try to get creative and they start blaming other people for their own actions. If you don't want to be in that kind of position, don't put yourself in those positions. If you want to have a happy marriage, date the person, get to know them, learn their philosophies and date them properly, and then marry them. But if you don't want to have issues with child support and all this other stuff and the courts involved in your life, do it right and establish a relationship with somebody that you actually want to be with. Don't just connect with somebody because they're accessible and they're just there and they have insecurities, so now they're vulnerable and you just want to be with somebody because you just want to be sexual with somebody. Understand that everything that you do has benefits to them or consequences. Or sometimes, in some weird situations, there's a little bit of both. But We have to keep in mind that we are responsible for our lives. We are responsible to be at work in a punctual way, because when we sign up for a job, we're already agreeing to the terms of being at that job at a specific time. Which goes into my next point, and that is just simply being accountable. Make sure that you keep in mind that you are the one responsible for what it is that you do. You are responsible for making sure that you get up at a certain time. You are responsible for making sure that you are responsible for carrying out your job, taking care of your children, paying your bills. If you go out and you buy a car, make sure that you can actually afford the car with the maintenance, with the gas, with everything else that comes with owning the car. Everything else, even if you're going to wash the car, you want it to look nice. Make sure that you're actually going to work. Make sure you're going to work and actually you can afford to do these things, And it's the same thing with everything else. If you're not ready for children, if you're not ready for a baby mama or a baby daddy, then don't impregnate somebody or don't lay down with somebody that you don't like. And it's really simple. It's really simple, but I think there's a lot of us that are so accustomed to blaming other people and going into that scapegoat mentality that it's very difficult for us to recognize, hey, wait a minute, I have authority over my life. I can actually make the decision to be responsible, think ahead, and actually plan my life out. You can plan to actually save money for retirement. You can plan to actually date somebody you actually like and agree with because they have the same worldview and the same philosophies as you. You can choose to be with somebody that you want to be with. But we have to keep in mind that we can't spend the rest of our lives blaming other people. And I understand that we live in a culture that is accustomed to blaming other people. It's the white man. This is why this is happening. Or this is the government. This is why this is happening. Or this party, this political party did this. This is why this is happening. But keep in mind that when it comes to your personal life, you are responsible for what it is that you do. The type of car you choose to have, that's up to you. The way that you choose to conduct yourself, even what kind of foods you put in your mouth, and how big or small you're going to be, is going to be based on what you're doing with your body and what you're putting in your own body. So we have to be accountable for what it is that we're doing, what we're saying. I think there's a lot of us that are very reckless with our words, and we assume that we can say whatever it is we want, and when there are ramifications that come with our action, or we're being reckless with our words, we're not thinking ahead and saying, wait a minute, somebody may retaliate. Somebody may actually tell my boss what I said, and I can lose my job. So we have to be very accountable for our actions. So I don't want to spend time scolding my brothers and sisters out there that do participate in these kind of behaviors, but I just want to remind you guys that we have a lot of authority over our lives, and we have to be accountable. I want to finish my story by saying that my class, although it was already like an early class, I think the soccer class, started maybe at, it was maybe 8 o'clock. I decided to make a change, and I started leaving my house 2 hours in advance. 2 hours in advance. So by the time I was leaving, the sun was still not even up. And still to this day, on those specific days, Tuesdays, I wake up like at 5:30 a.m. and I leave by my house by 5:30 a.m. I get up at 5 and I leave my house by 5:30 a.m. and I make sure that I'm always there super early so I can, read. I can read my devotion. I can read a little bit of the Bible. I can pray. Even if I want to take a quick nap, I can take a nap. I have the time to do that now. But I chose to make a change so I don't ever have to deal with that again. Now, I will say that what was very nice was by the third class, the lady returned and she actually apologized for how she behaved. And she found out that I was driving 40 miles just to go there and accommodate her child and the class, and teach and things like that. And so she was very repentant. She was very apologetic. She apologized, she made sure that I understood that, she appreciated what I did. She understood that, it's a sacrifice for me as well. It's not an easy drive, especially going in that direction. But she understood that. And so we had a mutual understanding, and I let her know, hey, everything's well. I'm a Christian. I'm very forgiving. It's all good. And we continued to have a wonderful class until the season was over. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. But I think it's important just to be accountable for our actions. Just the Black culture in general, we have such a rich history, and I just feel like it's almost disrespectful to reduce ourselves to people that want to use the black card and blame everyone else and use everyone as a scapegoat instead of just being responsible for our lives. And I purposefully shared the story because I wanted everyone to know also that even though I'm sharing these things, I mess up too, but it's important to move forward and say, okay, I'm going to make the necessary changes instead of playing the victim and blame everybody for something that I did to myself, ultimately. God bless you guys. Thank you for checking out Unique Perspectives. I do want to encourage you to like and subscribe. And if you have some thoughts on this, which I know you probably do, please hit me up and comment. God bless you guys. Peace.